back. I can't believe we're recording finally. It's been a while. I know we've both been pretty busy for the last couple of months, so we haven't been able to do this live. And so we're recording ahead of time. So we were not, this is not live. We're pre recording this just so we have a show every week because we haven't had one in a while. So, Mel, it's been a few months. How have you been? What have you been up to? Anything new in your, like, not only like wrestling world, but in your life that you want to share with us? Anything?
I mean, it is a Melbourne. It's glorious, glorious chaos from the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to sleep. And the year has been just like that. It has been some months. It was just before WrestleMania, I think, where we did
Mm-hmm.
our last one. Holy heck. We've been doing so much. We got Japanese wrestling update going. We got a lot of subscribers now on OLE. Been working hard. Especially you, girl. How are you doing?
I'm really tired, but I'm working on it. Well, at this time of this recording, it's a day after your birthday, so happy belated birthday! If you didn't wish Mel happy birthday, you can let her know in the comments. Happy birthday! Let her know. Please show her some love because that's my girl, and her birthday just happened, so we can let that just go without. We know as we were saying it without the recording. So yeah, happy to be doing this again. I miss doing this with you because we chat on a daily basis, like text wise and audio
Mhm.
wise, but we don't see each other like face to face like this often. And we see each other like
Um,
on the shows, but we don't see each other like this. So it feels weird seeing your face right now. And I'm glad to finally see your face, my lady.
yes, and we've got some nice dramatic effects happening with you. Your hair is blowing in the wind. I love
Yes.
it.
I'm
You're
melting
like
here
one
in
of your
Florida.
romance novel covers.
I'm melting here in Florida, so I definitely need some help. You look, we're in the 80s right now, so if you don't want
Oh,
to see me melting like Olaf, I do need my fan in here. Hopefully, you guys can hear it.
in summer.
There you go. You feel me. But yeah, we
I do.
definitely have a few things to discuss. We wanted to like forget about what we had on the notes that we had on the show we were supposed to do a while ago and just go with some more recent stuff going on. So first, we wanted to start with Mercedes Moné debuting in the AEW. Finally, it feels like a long time. Because I was feeling kind of like torn about it because I understand why they were holding her off into the pay per view because you want to be like, oh, it's a pay per view, it's her first show back, and it's exactly a year from her
Mhm.
injury. But I always hated the fact that from her debut up until Double or Nothing, we didn't see her wrestle at all. It's like I want to see her doing more than just beating up people. Like I want to see her actually wrestling. But I'm glad that now she's a TBS champion. Now she already had a title match against Sky Blue as well. So we already see her like being active and everything. But overall, I really enjoyed that match with her and Willow. It was really well done. I can't wait to see
Mhm.
what she does next. Though, it's like what's the next person to go against her? I will go into that part in just a moment. But how did you feel watching that? I think you watched it live, if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I also saw the clips of her like making her debut coming out when Willow had just won that title. And that for me, I think was the only thing I didn't like about the process of her debut. Because for me, it was like, Willow just won that title, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Give her a hot minute. Like, let her have her time, especially when you just took it right off of her. Like, that's something I didn't particularly like because I felt that it cut Willow's celebration time way, way down because we had to wait for Mercedes to get her way out there because the girl was in heels. She gonna do like sprint down there? That would have been impressive, but gotta protect that ankle. That was clearly a Achilles heel, if you will, on her. But the match itself was so good. It's so nice to see Monet doing the wrestling style that she clearly wanted to do from the beginning of her career. She looks so happy. Like, not to say that she didn't look happy in the WWE, but like in comparison to how she looks now performing, she looks a lot more carefree. She looks a lot more happy about it. Whereas in the WWE, I felt there was a little sense of urgency kind of happening in the time that she was there, given that she was there at the time of the McMahon Mish. I am happy with what they did with her. I don't know if she needed a title right away. I kind of like people to kind of earn their way up to the top. That being said, though, there's not a whole ton of people to earn their way to the top four right now with AEW. I feel like the women's division right now is kind of almost like a revolving door. where sometimes you get the same person coming back through, but it doesn't seem to be completely consistent outside of like people like Australia and Storm. But like I haven't heard of Britt Baker in a minute. She just is she just gonna come back and Charlotte Flair us and take the title from somebody?
That's what it feels like. I was, to go back to your point, I was really torn about Mercedes winning the championship because first I was happy with her getting the championship. I think it's pretty cool, like her coming in here and just dominating the women's division. But and like one thing that we mentioned in the past too is like we know that she was going to take that championship everywhere she goes. It doesn't matter where she will have it, which is great for the company because it will obviously be seen everywhere. But on the other hand, I was also thinking of the fact that Willow was just doing great with the championship. It was just giving her like more of prestige again, to put it like that, because it came at
Mhm.
that moment she was also like defending it in Stardom. It's just like it's kind of like those things like that you don't get to see often. So I was like, I wanted her to continue that, and it was like having such a great
Mhm.
momentum. It just went like downhill in that aspect for her, and I didn't like that fact because I would have preferred getting Willow against so many people. We could have seen that going to other companies and doing this, but it is what it is in that aspect. With Brit, it's another
Yeah.
question that Kimmy and I got as well during the Double or Nothing poll show, because apparently it's like a creative thing for her because she is clear. Kimmy works very often with Brit, so I know she would know about the information. So that's what she was told about it. It's just the fact that right now they don't have anything creatively for her, and this is something that I
Mhm.
mentioned during the poll show as well. It just, this women's division now in AEW is different from the women's division when Britt Baker was here, and it's incredible to think
Mhm.
about that aspect because when she was there, they were used to the same girls weekly because that's all they had. Versus now we have
Mhm.
more people here, it's a more stacked roster. So it's like, how does she fit in there when it's not the same group that she was in before? So
Yeah.
her and Jamie, I feel like Jamie will have an easier way to fit in. With Brit, it just feels differently in that aspect. It doesn't feel like the same group that she had when she was starting. So I wonder how does she fit
Mhm.
in here when it's like we have either girls that are just kind of like starting out and learning their way around things like Anna Jay and Sky Blue, but then we also have people like Willow and Chris Statlander and Mercedes who have experience and have been doing this for a while. They can teach the new girls,
Mhm.
and obviously Serena Deep. So it's like we do have a little bit of everything. So I wonder how does Brit fit in here. But we had
Mhm.
like a while now to the point that people like Anna Jay and Sky Blue have built up their characters in a different way from what they had before, and they have grown a lot too. So they're definitely not the same girl she was facing before. So definitely interesting how
Yeah.
she will fit in here when she returns, though.
Yeah, yeah, because like, is Julia Hart still wrestling? I haven't heard her mentioned in a little bit. Is she injured?
Yeah, she got injured. And that's why she lost the championship to Willow because of the injury. Hmm.
Oh, okay, that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of play it like that because I don't know. I feel like Willow is a little bit more willing. A little play on words there. Willow is willing. Willow is willing to kind of work those Stardom shows. She's willing to make the travel kind of work. I don't want to say that she would not, but I feel like there's a less likely chance that Mercedes would be willing to go over to Japan or Japanese, go over to Japan
Hmm.
to work like one of their house shows. Whereas like I feel like Willow and also the women's strong champion, Stephanie Vaquer, she will also go over there and work those house shows very easily. And like they're I would consider highly credible champions as well and highly credible wrestlers as well. So I don't know. That being said, though, the point you made where Mercedes is going to take that title around, not just to wrestling things, I think is the bigger point to make in that it will spread a little bit more like noise, make it a little bit more noise, spread a little more news, make AEW a little bit more something to pay attention to when she's walking the red carpet and the title belt is an accessory as opposed to a clutch. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna help them out a lot more than it's gonna help someone like WWE. It would be cool to see them doing that too. Yeah.
And now that you mentioned her, we definitely got the tease of Mercedes versus Stephanie for Forbidden Doors. So that's pretty exciting. Imagine that. I was like, do we get the both titles on the line? I wonder because that's something that I'm really like. They obviously there's just a tease. They haven't really officially said anything, but it's definitely coming out after Mercedes gets her win with Sky Blue. We do get that tease for Forbidden Door, but I wonder now, is it TBS Championship and New Japan Strong Title, or do we get one or both? How does this work? Because I'm curious. I don't know if I want to see both of them on the line, because imagine that we get Mercedes winning after everything, because she was supposed to be the first champion to begin with and she didn't win it because of the injury. So I wonder how that will work out with her being a double champion in like AW and New Japan. Being that you watch New Japan, how do you feel about this?
Poorly. Poorly. Do I have a problem with Mercedes winning the NJPW Strong Women's Championship? No. Do I have a problem with her winning it when she already has an AEW title? Yes. But it's probably going to be not for the reason most people are expecting. For me, I have no problem with Mercedes, the person, like that. The women having the titles are not the problem. The fact that the most major NJPW title is currently on Jon Moxley, who is also an AEW superstar, that would be my problem. If she was to beat Vaquer, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Their styles are actually very, very comparable right now. In fact, I would say Mercedes might have a little bit of a struggle with Vaquer, because Vaquer hits so hard. Her kicks especially are gnarly, and her moveset is so unique that it's hard to kind of train and like scout for what it is that she's going to do. This is why she's so unbeatable in CMLL, and she's absolutely savage and unapologetic about it as well. And Mercedes has that same kind of badass attitude to her. She also does tend to make her size not really an issue, because she is usually smaller than most people she's facing. She kind of uses her size to her advantage, which I think will be good. But again, like, my problem would be, I don't want to see two New Japan titles on AEW people when the AEW people are not going to be regularly over in Japan. Just because, people need to take the time off for the tours and stuff. I totally understand that, especially with injuries being such a problem, especially the last couple of months, around all the companies, not just anyone in particular. Everyone's getting hurt right now. It just seems to be something in the water. But that being said, like, Kazuchika Okada, when he was the IWGP World Champion and he held that title for 2 years, he was hard on his body, but he didn't miss a show. And he wasn't always defending his title, but the IWGP World Champion was always at the show, whether it was in multi-people matches, whether it was on commentary, whether it was just simply to be there in his buddy's corner. He was there. We haven't really seen our IWGP World Championship since it's kind of left, and we're going to be seeing it defended against Evil and Dominion. So depending on how that kind of goes, might change my opinion. So right now, as it stands, if Jon Moxley comes out of Dominion with the IWGP title still, then I would prefer Mercedes not ask for the titles to be on the line and just have a straight out champion versus champion, find out who had bragging rights, who's superior. But if Moxley loses the title, then I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it, because I think it's important that NJPW and Stardom have some kind of representation in AEW and vice versa. That AEW has some kind of representation in Stardom as well as NJPW. So just a friendly, request. Could we have Megan Bayne again, since you're not doing anything with her?
I mean, hopefully, apparently there's plans for her to come in soon. So it's like, come. We want to see you more often.
Beat it up, Toni. We got shit to do.
Right. Now that we're talking already about Forbidden Door, we also have the teasing now, because obviously it's not official yet either. It's just a matter of like the back and forth. So it probably would become official sometime this week. But it'll be Mina versus Toni for the custody of Mariah, most likely. For what it looks like. So I was like, do we get Mariah in the middle of the graphic? Because that would be very funny to see for me, at least visually in the graphic. But yeah, it's like
visual would be Mariah in the middle with one arm in Mina's arm and one arm in Toni's arm. They're playing tug of war with her.
Yes. Okay. I can imagine that, because I feel like Mina is one of those people that, so far from what I've seen, she's really captured the audience here in the US with her AW like Ring of Honor appearances so far. So it's like one of those like I would like to see more from her. So it's like her and Toni. I feel like that'll be one of Toni's best matches at Timeless Toni Storm. So I really cannot wait for that. I'm excited to see this match when it happens. I know it's bound to happen at Forbidden Door, most likely. But yeah, really excited to see this. To be honest.
Oh, you should be, my friend. This is going to be great. I always refer to Mina Shirakawa kind of as like the bubblegum version of Kenta. We know how dangerous Kenta is. He's
Hmm.
very much a striker, but also very much a traditional power wrestler. Mina Shirakawa is literally the cutesy female version of that. She can kick the heckin' crap out of you. She has this spinning back fist that is just deadly. Her strikes, her kicks are very, very good, very solid. But then she's so smart with her chain wrestling. She can wrap you up, tie you up, throw you around. She's got the power to do that. And Toni Storm has that Stardom experience as well. Arguably, I would say one of the more entertaining women to come out of that particular generation of Stardom wrestlers. The two of them together has been money so far. It can only get better at Forbidden Door, especially adding Mariah May. The facial expressions that Mariah May has been doing when she's been on the, what is it, the bosom of Toni Storm. Oh, wow. The character development has been so good. And I love that
Hmm.
Tony is going a little above and beyond in this one. It's a good thing I'm going to say about him. And that he's bringing over Mina for these AEW run-ins. My partner Andre and I had the privilege of seeing her do a run-in when they were here in Edmonton for the AEW show, and we lost our minds. It was so good. We lost our minds and our voices. It was
Yeah, I
phenomenal.
can confirm. I got a video of it. I can confirm that happened.
So loud.
I don't know how
So
you could have
loud.
voice to the rest of the show. To be honest, after that.
There was very
Hmm.
little point. Like Swerve came out, but it wasn't like we saw how that ended up happening, you know? We just danced.
Hmm.
That was all we got. We didn't get to cheer at that one.
Mm,
We cried.
man.
But
Yeah, and
yeah,
going on to the bigger topic of like what we mentioned so far, the fact that what it looks like with the teasers so far, that Stardom will be part of Forbidden Door for the first time. This is very exciting. I was like, I love giving these like women's matches. Give me two, three women's matches on one card, two on the main show, one on the kickoff for like hour or like 0 hour. I wouldn't mind seeing that, and it's nice to see this happening because we have AEW, CMLL, Stardom, and probably New Japan in some way, shape, or form. So it's like imagine four companies doing one whole show. That's amazing.
gosh. I guarantee you that there's going to be a Bullet Club showdown at some point. And I feel, again, this is my personal opinion. I felt like Jay White had his kind of prime in New Japan, former IWG. He was the first kind of Grand Slam champion that they had, even before Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is crazy. And then we sent him over, we let him go over to AEW. And now he's a
Yeah.
part of the Bang Bang Booty Gang. And they're just, I mean, he looks fantastic. And of course, gold always looks good around Jay White's waist. But I feel like he's lost a very major important part of himself since he took that shillelagh hit to the head from David Finlay. So I think that it would be a great opportunity for David Finlay to kind of show up and challenge not only Jay White, but I think it would be a good idea to see a trios match. I want to see the Bang Bang Booty Gang getting in there. And Juice. Juice is back now, so you could have an 8-man
Hmm.
tag. Put in David Finlay, get Gabe Kidd, NJPW Strong Champion. Then you have the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions and Drilla Maloney, Clark Connors. I'm writing your stuff for you, Tony.
I like what you're cooking in here. Keep going, Mel.
Sprinkle a little something else in there. Maybe we'll bring in Gato. That's not going to be great, but it'll still be fun.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah, the Forbidden Door is just this is going to be such a good show. I'm so happy that Vaquer is there. I'm so happy. that we're going to be having strong women's representation there. Then we also got Mina Shirakawa. I'm excited to see who else they bring up from both CMLL and Stardom, because there's what are they called? Las Tasicas, all female faction down there, who I think would probably have a really good kind of show off with Saraya and her little minion if she can find
I
another
know.
person. Like, there's so many opportunities and potentials. There's so many talents in both companies. The content
Alrighty.
can just
Yeah.
write itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring up another topic, since we're already on kind of like the umbrella of AEW as a whole. That something that's been kind of teased, I guess, during like I think it was the media scrum, if I'm not mistaken. The fact that it makes it seem like Tony Khan has been thinking about AEW mixed tag titles. We had a lot of like what we call the couples in AEW bringing up and posting like, oh, that would be cool, because we do have Saraya and her brother. We have Taya and Johnny. Um, I know if I mean they decide to bring them back, we do have Kip Sapien and Penelope Ford. So there's a couple of couples within AEW, but I'm torn about it because I feel like that would be cool in that aspect, because I think about how Mixed Max Challenge worked in WWE. We didn't have any titles, but the fact that we had the mixed tag matches happening, they were so fun to watch. And it's not often something that we see in WWE. But then I'm thinking of AEW, and it's like they have so many titles and their shows last so long because they have almost every championship on the line. How would it feel like with one more match now for an AEW mixed tag titles? And it's just like another thing that I keep thinking about, that aspect of, I feel like they don't spend enough time on certain championships, especially when it comes to like Ring of Honor, for example. They're not really a priority right now. So how is that going to work out with Tony Khan being in charge of the storytelling for the mixed tag titles? So it's like it's a lot of things to think about all at once with just bringing up one idea, but it's a lot to think about afterwards when it comes to this idea. So it's just something that kind of I'm torn about, because I would like to see it. Don't get me wrong. Like I think it's something like in WWE will work out every so often, like a mixed bags challenge, something like that, like a seasonal type of thing. But I don't know how I feel about mixed tag titles though.
I feel like it's excessive. But I also feel that the amount of things that Tony Khan seems to think that he can do on his own, when he literally has the money to hire more qualified individuals that he can just oversee do all the work for him. Had, has this guy never had money before? Did he not grow up privileged? I don't understand why he does some of the things that he does, but tomato, tomato, I guess. Um, Yeah, you're right. The AEW pay-per-views already, like, they're the only thing that I watch consistently of AEW, and it does seem to be very long. Like, I do tend to lose some interest in certain matches and be like, yeah, I'm gonna check out on this and play on my phone or something like that. Um, so maybe having like an extra set of titles would maybe not be a smart idea. Or maybe even having like certain titles just not defended on certain pay-per-views would be something smart, because I don't really even know if I that would be something I would want to necessarily see on a pay-per-view. They could be something that they could have like regularly on one of their other shows. I think that would be pretty cool, because
No.
it doesn't even have to be like necessarily couples. Like, as long as you have like Julia Hart and Malachi Black,
Yeah.
like,
Or her and Brody
or
King,
even
because
Brody
they've been
King.
more paired up. Yeah.
Yeah, her and Brody, like, that could be a good team.
Right.
Absolutely. They don't have to be a couple to be,
Mm-hmm.
an effective mixed tag. And I've seen some
Yeah.
amazing mixed tag in the historic crossover show with Stardom and NJPW. Like, again, they were just a fun ride. They didn't need a title kind of attached to them. I do appreciate that Tony is trying to do something different and unique, because that's not something that I've really ever heard of. There might be some smaller companies that have that, but I don't I
Yeah.
don't know. Um, but I don't think it's necessary right now for him to add more to his plate until he's kind of figured out what he's doing with the rest of the stuff on it. Does that make sense? Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe figure out your women's division entirely, or at least to the fullest extent of your ability, and then maybe consider doing something like this. But like let's maybe focus on fixing some other things first before that. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, definitely feel you on that one. I also wanted to bring up something that happened very recently that you and I didn't get to discuss, and it's apparently one fan that was at ringside. I think it was for one of the Canadian shows, so it's one of your people. They came up and had
We
some
don't claim
comments of.
them.
They had some comments about Sky Blue as she was wrestling, and we saw a lot of people supporting her, letting her know like we're here for you because of how you are as a wrestler, not because of your body and everything. And I think it brought
Mhm.
up a very important conversation too, to the point of how women are still like sexualized, and it's something that we have discussed before on overall on the podcast before. But thinking of like this particular part with Sky Blue, and it's like yeah, we do see a lot of people like look at her physical features, to put it like that. So I don't have to say the word specifically, but a lot of people end up being like fans of her because of her physical aspect, and they forget about her ability as a wrestler, who she is as a wrestler too. And
Mhm.
I feel like that happens quite often with the women in I say any company, to be honest. And just like the fact that some people decide to like connect a little bit more with them because of the physical aspect, and they end up demanding a little bit more from them because they think they own them because they like them. It's like they want them to have a one-on-one with them, they want to chat with them and things like that. And that's when the ladies are like, yeah, this is not it. It just, I feel like it brings a different kind of attention towards them that they're not really calling for, to be honest. And just like seeing
Yeah.
that, it just made me think so much of how the vision of women's wrestling has changed over the years because of this. Because we went from like we mentioned before in other podcasts, it's just like the fact that we went from mud wrestling matches and bra and panty matches to like serious matches. But even still, obviously, it's something that we mentioned, that women's wrestling is not entirely taken seriously because people keep thinking of the women as objects and sexualizing them,
Mhm.
and it's something that we see happen so quite often. And obviously we don't stand for it, like I say we as in
Mhm.
us here, but it's something that I wanted to bring up to get your thoughts on it, because it's something that really bothered me as well, thinking of like how many women get seen kind of like objects because of their bodies nowadays still.
Yeah, yeah. We don't claim that one. I saw that kind of happen. They were on the other side of the ring from where we were, and unfortunately, right at ringside. And even more unfortunately is that the man who was doing
Mhm.
this, had a kid there with him. That I think is the worst
Yeah.
part. So you're not only showing you're an idiot, but you're also showing your kid that it's okay to be an idiot. But I guess kid kind of figured out that it's not okay to be an idiot because his dad got kicked out of the show. So
Very true.
it's unfortunate that it was at the end of the show so that they got to enjoy everything else before being kicked out. But
Yeah.
this is always such a difficult conversation because for me, being a woman and having been in situations where I have been sexualized or put on a pedestal, and as a result, men have thought that they can grab on me or tell me to do things or demand things out of me, and it's go F yourself. But eh, the problem that I have with wrestling right now in regards to the outfits and stuff is Sky Blue wouldn't have to deal with that if it wasn't put on her that her gear had to look like that for her to be relevant. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's a lot of pressure is put on us to show a lot more because there's a lot more things outside of wrestling, like in fashion, in influencing, all over media, in other professional sports. It's put on us that if we don't look a certain way, we're not going to get a certain place in our career, despite our talent. So like this kind of stuff always kind of it bothers me, but also kind of makes me go, how much of it is our fault as a society that these people have to deal with it, and how much of it is, you know, individuals just being idiots. Um, I personally like again, I've said this all before. Astrid and I, if anybody saw how we talked about people privately, the men that we like, people would probably be like, girls, get you to a church and read your Bibles. Like, but we don't feel the
Mhm.
need, and I don't feel it necessary to share with everybody around me or the
Mhm.
individual that I'm infatuated with, that I'm infatuated with them. And I think
Mhm.
something that fans, particularly these male fans who are getting obsessive compulsive with these women, you have to remember it is a privilege for them to interact with you. And you earn that interaction by being a good person. You don't earn that by being a dominant prick. That's not what this is. She's already doing the dominant thing that you're not capable of doing. That's why you're in the seat on the ringside and why she's in the ring doing her thing. So I think people just really need to remember, be humans. If you want to speak to your daughter that way, don't open your mouth. If you want to speak to your mother that way, don't open your mouth. And don't do it in front of kids. People are horrible enough nowadays. You don't need the next generation being horrible too.
Mhm.
Pastor, what did you think about this?
And just like you said, it's just one of those things like I get when you like really like somebody, you have crushes and things like that. To me, that's something
Yeah,
that you share with yourself privately. It's like I don't want the whole world to know. It's like what's one of those things like you should keep to yourself. It's like especially when you have a child next to you that's listening to everything you're saying. It makes me think. I wish you had a mom that would tell you not to say that out loud, or your wife, or even your daughter to say, "Don't say that because that could be me." And look at how you're responding to her. And I feel like sometimes that we need those men to actually have that female presence in their lives to tell them, it's like, don't say that because you wouldn't want anybody else to say that about me, for example. It's like, and that's when
no,
you put it in a different kind of point of view when you put in their shoes if it was somebody in their family. And they probably wouldn't like that if that happened, to be honest. But it is what it is. It's just
exactly.
unfortunate that that happened. But to on to better news, to put it like that,
Yeah.
we're going to jump ship to another crossover that we have this week. We had the reveal that Jordynne Grace is challenging Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at Battleground. Imagine the title: Jordynne Grace, TNA Knockouts World Champion, going against Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. In what world would you have thought of that happening? I honestly like, being that I cover NXT on a weekly basis with Ed. I had like maybe 2 3 episodes that it just felt like meh, because I had things, little things that happened that I enjoyed, and the things that I'm like, I don't want to see that. And I feel like after the draft, they kind of had to find their way to like shift over what they lost with the talent they lost, and try to gain new people. And I feel like this is something that was really necessary for that to happen, to get people to like watch, because you never know what's going to happen when this happens. Um, it became at that point that when it was a surprise that we didn't know who the challenger was, I feel like a lot of people were probably disappointed thinking it was going to be Tegan Knox. But Tegan Knox was just rumored to be part of the NXT programming. It was not mentioned that she was going to be part of the NXT Women's Championship. So there's a difference there. And I feel like one thing that I loved about it is the report from Fightful that Roxanne herself didn't want to know who it was. So that when the person came out, she had a genuine reaction to the reveal along with the fans. So I feel like that's another layer to not only the reveal itself, but knowing that she didn't know either, and she found out that like that exactly when she came out. That was just amazing to see. For those that don't remember, Jordynne Grace was part of the Royal Rumble as well. She's the second person from the NXT Women's roster to come over to WWE and come to WWE as Knockouts champion. The first one was Mickey James, and then this is the first time that we actually get the Knockouts champion being other than the Royal Rumble appearing in programming from WWE altogether. So this was super exciting for the show. I feel like it's exactly what it needed to get people's attention and to get people watching. Not only do we get her at Battleground, but we get her this week on NXT at well, by the time that this comes up, it'll already happen. So her versus Stevie Turner. So we get her. We had her at the Rumble. We have her on NXT programming, like weekly programming, and at Battleground pay per view. Like this is just amazing, and I'm glad it happened to like Jordynne, because Jordynne is just such an incredible competitor, and I cannot wait to see her versus Roxanne. Like I don't even know who to root for this match. To be honest, I'm really torn. But again, it's gonna be one of those matches that's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't think you watched it as it was happening, but you probably saw the clip a little bit later. So it's like, how did you feel even watching that clip of that reveal?
Oh, so much pride. I have been such a fan of Jordynne Grace for a number of years. Um, it started out enjoying her wrestling, and then it continued enjoying her like social bantering. because she is so, again, unapologetic about what it is that she says, and she stands by what she says. But what I love and appreciate the most about her is when she recognizes that she's wrong in something, she acknowledges it and shows people the kind of pathway that she took of the logic to get to that kind of outcome. She actively learns. She does this thing where she publicly actively learns, and she shows her successes as much as her failings, which is something that not a lot of people can do. And it, I feel, makes her be a very genuine person to look up to. So having her get all these amazing rewards for all of the hard work, the dedication, the like, I can't imagine that competing for bodybuilding, because I know so many people who do, it's not enjoyable to prepare for that. You suffer preparing for that. And she did it so happily. I can't imagine what she went through preparing for that. But like, she must have been so miserable. She never portrayed it. You never saw how unhappy she was.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she was honest about it after, when she was done, and she said, "This sucked. I didn't like being calorie restricted." Nobody does. Nobody does. But again, just to loop back, it was very, it made me very proud, because I've seen this woman work so hard over the last couple of years to see. I couldn't really think of someone more deserving of that kind of opportunity for a crossover. Like, how many people can say that now in this business? That's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's very fun. Not only that, thinking of her, but also on the other hand, now it's been, I don't want to say advertised, but it's been rumored, I guess, so far that her title match in Against the Odds, which is on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, I was gonna say January, June 14th, Against the Odds is gonna be an open challenge, and there's rumors already that somebody from NXT will answer that open challenge. So I was like, I would love seeing this happening obviously the other way around, because we had people from TNA in WWE, like with her and Mickey James before, that we haven't had anybody from WWE go over to TNA. So we don't know who it is. Who knows? It might be Roxanne herself trying to like go after Jordynne if she goes after her title. So it's like either way, whether it's Roxanne or somebody else, I think it also makes it exciting of thinking like this could happen. It could be anybody as well. That reveal, I feel like that would be amazing too. And thinking of like those like worlds colliding, because something we don't see very often in WWE especially. So it's like to see in this is like that's very exciting. I don't care who it is. I'm just glad to see this happening and knowing that we get the debut presence in TNA the other way around. I think that's very exciting as a whole. And just I love seeing this like healthy relationship between the companies, and I just hope it keeps happening in the future as well, like it happened now, because I don't want it to be just a Royal Rumble season. I want it to happen anytime, to be honest. So like to keep us on our toes, and all of a sudden like, oh, somebody's is coming up, and that happened as well. Just to like go a little sidetracked about the topic, but happened as well now with Ethan Page showing up and going against Trick Williams, and something that I didn't expect. And it's, to be honest, I'm still like shocked about it, because it's one of those things like you, there was nothing rumored about it. And I'm glad that there were surprises too, and it wasn't spoiled beforehand, because it made us want to watch the show even more, thinking like, who is it going to be? I want to be here and be a part of this reveal somehow. So just like this kind of healthy relationship between companies, and this back and forth of like anybody can show up anytime. I feel like it makes wrestling even more exciting than it was before.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. I don't watch NXT regularly, unfortunately, like you, so I couldn't even begin to like think of who could go over there. Gosh, I miss NXT. Used to be a Friday night fight night for me and my friends.
I'm telling you, you should
It's
watch it.
on Tuesdays.
I know, but you can watch it later. It's on demand.
That's true. That's true. But then everyone would know because of socials,
Don't matter.
social media. It's the devil, I
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. Talking about, imagine like even bigger news coming out this week. The fact that Becky Lynch is a free agent for the first time in, I don't know, I think like 10 years or so at this point. Wow.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible thinking of all these like contracts that are expiring and they're not even in negotiations. So it's like it feels we're talking about this kind of topic, but I couldn't not miss the point of Becky Lynch being a free agent. And just like I feel like even though she might resign with AB in just a couple months anyway, but you thinking about the fact that this happened, it just feels crazy to think about. And Natalia is another one that her contract it's about to expire, if I'm not mistaken, as well too. So just think about the fact that this is happening. It just feels kind of weird to think about. I know it
Yeah.
probably won't happen, but even thinking of like a possibility of a Becky Lynch showing up another company, like imagine if that happens. It's like I feel like that will be a huge surprise. But I'm
Yeah.
leaning more towards the part of like she's still in WWE because Rollins resigned as well. So you never know if he signed on the dotted line for who knows how long at this point. I don't see her leaving him in that aspect. So, but I'm glad for her and being in the part of like she's in that moment that he's injured. Might as well, not only take care of him but spend time with her daughter and with him while she can right now while he's out on an
Mhm.
injury. So I feel like it's good timing on her in that aspect for her because she's able to enjoy her family a little bit more and come back whenever she wants to. But again, whenever she comes back, I feel like that's still going to be pretty amazing as well if it happens to be just a surprise when it happens.
I hope that it happens. I really enjoy Becky Lynch. I always have her even when she was doing the Irish dancing, I thought she was really cool. Thought it was a cool different character. She's always been really good at character work. It's effortless for her. It's so good. But yeah, I agree. She's probably going to do what you suggested. Stay home with the little one, stay home with the broken one, take care of them. It'll be interesting to see what she does when he is better and goes back onto the road. Because will she just stay and allow the little one to have kind of like have that growth and development with the community, her little community, a stationary community, or will she do what a lot of wrestlers do and introduce it to the road and all that kind of stuff? It will be very interesting, but I really do truly, she's earned the rest for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But selfishly as a fan, I do hope that at some point she does pop up again. And I won't, I even though, Rollins did resign with WWE, I don't think that necessarily means that she'll be restricted. I think because we're seeing so many of these crossover shows and that so many couples already exist in different companies, like isn't there people who are in AEW and also WWE, like couples that are across that? And like Gigi Dolan, isn't she dating that Zachary Wentz? He's in TNA, she's in
Yeah.
WWE.
And
Like,
another big one's like Malachi being in AW and Zelina being in WWE. So that's one of
yeah,
those
and
big
they were
ones.
both
Like,
in WWE, and then he left and went there. So, like,
yeah, same thing with Mia Yim. She's in NXT and WWE, versus we got Keith Lee in AW, but he's
Charlotte
been
and
gone.
Andrade's.
Yeah, but he's back now.
Like,
Yay!
yeah, he kind of ping ponged around. But that
Yeah,
being said, who's to say Becky couldn't do the same?
yeah.
I don't think she'll be restricted to WWE. I think it'll be a first choice for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest paycheck. Hello. But I feel when she is ready, that it will literally be like a choice of cards on which one she's gonna take. And I don't, if I was her, I would maybe take the opportunity to do some more things in other places that you maybe didn't get to do in the WWE. Give somebody else
Yeah.
another chance to give you something great.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, enjoy
And
retirement.
and I wanted to bring up some good news for me, not so good news for you and your people. Is Giulia going over to NXT? She's a Marigold, so we'll talk about that in just a moment as well. But thinking of the fact that after her injury, she's going to be probably back and forth between both companies, which is going to be another interesting crossover to think about as well, going on in the
Mhm.
future here. But thinking about her in NXT, I feel like I think about the aspect that she will most likely go against Roxanne. So it's like Roxanne going against Jordynne, Roxanne going against Giulia. I was like giving, trusting her with, I don't want to say newer people, but trusting her with like these kind of crossovers and just pretty cool to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
with Roxanne getting involved. But I am really
Mhm.
excited for Giulia to be a part of this. It's just like her and Roxanne definitely cooking in there. I want to see that.
You should be excited, my friend. That woman is absolutely incredible. Julia has this insane adaptability in the ring where she can
Mm-hmm.
adapt to the Jordynne Graces. She can adapt to the Roxannes. Like we see a ton
Yeah.
of these little high speed girls in Stardom, Azumi, Starlight Kid, Kuguma, Saki Kashima, just to name a few. These girls are fast. They run circles around you. Julia can take them out, no problem. Julia's match of the year last year was not even just Julia's match of the year,
Mm-hmm.
Stardom match of the year against Megan Bain, their biggest powerhouse. She dwarfed all those women. Giulia did everything possible to outsmart Megan Bayne and then outpower her. For how diminutive her size is, Giulia is actually deceptively strong. And that's something that all those Japanese women really do tend to have. They're either deceptively strong or deceptively quick. And Giulia just happens to be both. That your guys' roster is going to be in for a treat. But what I do hope is that this opens up even more kind of crossover opportunities for Marigold and NXT together. Because if they could send people over for a 2-week tour in Japan, or send some of the Japanese girls over for a 2-week tour in WWE, I feel like this would be tremendous marketing opportunity for both of these companies and would only benefit not only them, but us, the fans. Because these girls hit hard. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. Girls got to train for this ish. You better be ready when Giulia touches down because it's not far either. She's coming in, what, June, or not June, July 13th?
Most likely, I would say between July and August. You never know at this point, but it all depends on her injury. But still, it's like I feel like the timing will be very interesting to think about with
Yeah,
Roxanne and get involved with her too.
yeah, because she injured it in the end of May there, or sorry, the beginning of May. She's had surgery already. She's out of the hospital. She's recovering. She's still scheduled to face Sari at the Marigold show that I believe is on the 7th of July, which is just a little over a month away. She's still confirmed to wrestle this match. They have not canceled it. She's still going to be there. And as far as the confirmation is gone, she will be also competing at the NXT show at the beginning of July there. So I kind of feel like she's going to do kind of what a local person here has done, sort of Irish, and that they are like, she's going to be like 85, 90% healed, and she's going to be wrestling with a splint. Like, and it might be a little dicey on the hand that she has. She might favor it. She might try to keep it away from the person. It might be, smarter in the long run for the person not to target that hand, but it's going to be a target. It's going to be an obvious target. But yeah, as far as I know, she is still confirmed to wrestle 2 matches at least at the beginning of July. So we'll
Yeah, and
see.
thinking of and now that you bring it up, thinking of Marigold too, how does that been for you watching it? How does it feel
Oh,
different from Stardom too?
it it's interesting because there's so many people that we already know. Like with Mirai, Utami Hayashishida, Giulia, Mirai, or sorry, I already said Mirai, Mai Sakurai, Victoria Yuzuki, Nane, Takahashi. There's so many names that we already know, but there's so many names that we're getting introduced to also who we didn't hear about beforehand. So it has been such a privilege to watch these girls. The problem that I have is that I don't have any commentary right now. So I don't know what their move names are called. I don't know what some of the moves are. And I don't like, I'll get confused sometimes as to who I'm watching. But what I do love is that since the separation of these Stardom women to start Marigold has happened, all of their shows are going up right away on Wrestle Universe, which I believe is 999 yen or like $10 Canadian. And they're coming up right away, almost live. And Stardom is also doing this. Before I'd have to wait like 3 or 4 days before I would gain access to the shows. Yesterday, I watched a show live happening, one of their house shows in Stardom in Japan at like midnight. So it's been a very positive change so far. I hope that the positivity kind of stays that way. But yeah, the overall look of Marigold is so crisp. It's fresh. It's new. Their logo is very cool. Their championships they've already unveiled. They're ready to start the tournaments for that. I'm just so stoked to see how they continue to grow because the women all look so completely different now. All of these women, except for Giulia. Julia still looks the same, but she got her old music back, which I appreciate because it was much better than whatever Final Fantasy Village music she had. upon leaving Stardom. It was not something to get you excited to see wrestling. It was like, I'm gonna go sell all of my inventory because my pack is full. La 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 la. It wasn't very impactful. It didn't get you
Mhm.
going. Now we're seeing, it feels like the women in Stardom were restricted before, and we're finally seeing them kind of come out of their cocoon that they were forced into before and are being able to kind of spread their wings. Much like the WWE has been able to kind of do this since
Mhm.
getting rid of dementia. Who knew it
And
was
mention,
terrible?
yeah, and talking about Marigold too, I had to highlight a good friend Zayda Steele for being a part of this too. The way that she teased it during the interview that we had, when she was asked by, not even a question that I had, it was a community question that I had. It wasn't one originally from me. The fact that I got to ask her is like, "What do you want to go to next?" And she said Japan, and she gave me a big smile when she did that, and I should have picked up on it. And I didn't, and I feel bad that I didn't pick it up on it until I saw it later, and I was like, I messaged her and was like, first of all, congratulations. And second, this is crazy because I remember you said Japan in the interview. And she's like, yeah, it was one of the hardest secrets I ever had to keep. So to be able to like, I interviewed her. This is the first time that one of my interviews gets to be on Fightful. So it was written on Fightful because she mentioned MLW. To the fact that then she shows up in Marigold, it's like everything happening with just this one interview. So crazy to think about. So really happy to see her getting this highlight. It's just pretty cool for her. I feel like she does a little bit of character work, especially her character is just like on point. I feel like she does that like so well, and I love seeing
Oh,
that from
yeah.
her. So just to see that the videos on Twitter of like the promos and back and forth that she's had so far, it's like I just love seeing. I'm very happy for her to be getting this experience of going to Japan already, and just like I think not even 2-3 years under her wrestling career so far. So just it's just amazing. I love it.
You honestly wouldn't tell, like her in-ring ability is very, very crisp. Very, very good. She hung with those girls so good. I think that I haven't watched the last three shows, which is bad. So I'm very behind on my wrestling, but Best of the Super Juniors. We got to prioritize people. Um, the tag match on the first Marigold show, with Zayda was amazing. She faced off against, oh, why am I forgetting her name now? Mila Grace,
Oh yeah,
with the fun ponytails.
yeah.
And what was amazing about them is that they were wrestling a very similar style to the Japanese women, but they were also wrestling very much a North American style with their mannerisms. So they were yelling at each other, they were beaking at the audience, they were beaking at each other. They made it a lot of fun. It was really added to that. And I have noticed, as the matches kind of went on, some more of the women started beaking a little bit more. It was like they just needed to break that confidence
Mhm.
ice to make the rest of the women comfortable doing that. Because I think there was a lot of nerves on that show. It was their first show. There was a lot of like, probably like RuPaul, don't fuck it up moments happening in that. But man, was it a great show.
Yeah. Well, to wrap it up, we haven't done this in quite a while. So where can the people find you, my smell ball?
If you're wanting to follow Melball, you can follow her on the X. Thank you, Collins Melball. You can follow her on everything else: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Blue Sky at Melball Collins. You can also catch me on my other YouTube channel, Andre Melball Wrestling Update, where we do NJBW Puro Resu Review, where we talk about NJBW Stardom Review, where we talk about Stardom. We have the Dream Marigold Show, where we talk about Marigold, and of course, Chop Talk, where we talk about all of our local endeavors. You can also catch me on our local establishment programming, Japanese Wrestling Update, where again, Andre and I talk all about Japanese wrestling at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, unless it's not. And then we will let you know.
Yeah,
I got a lot
mentioning
of stuff on the
OLE.
go.
Look at you. Mentioning OLE as well. Thank you, everybody, because now we have over 100 subscribers. So now we just have to work on the watch hours to be able to get monetized. So we're on step one out of two steps. So very happy for that. But if you haven't yet, you can follow us on TikTok. We have Facebook, Twitter, as well aside from the Twitch and the YouTube. So if you haven't yet, follow us there as well because you'll see us there very often, aside from what we do here too as well. So very happy for that. For me, let me go in order so I don't forget about it. Here, first of all, you get my link if you scan the QR code for W Shop. So they have the regular sales and the regular priced items. I just get a little bit of that back to me if you decide to use my QR code or my link as well. So that goes back to the Canva that we use for the graphics for the Ring of Honor. So, and then I can watch Ring of Honor when we have to cover it, for example, things like that. You can also, as you're watching it right now, you can also go back and watch my other stuff on my YouTube channel as well. We have past interviews, post shows, a lot of book videos as well. So I do have a little bit of everything on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to upload as often as I can to get more of you, more content moving forward. I also have for you, where as you can see here, you can scan the QR code or go on the website. And as you can see here, the great Mel Ball and Mike the Referee here modeling the shirt and with the Astro pose. So if you haven't yet, go get your new shirt. And the other part before I forget, you can find me on Twitter, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and Threads and Instagram, Astrid Pizarro 20, and everything else you can find on my YouTube channel there as well. And yeah, if you haven't yet, go on the Body Sam YouTube channel as well. Click on the bell to be notified when they upload. I do have an episode of Astrid Asa who have hopefully gone up this week with Jessica Choi talking about PW Australia. Really happy to be, that's the first Australian talent I get to interview, so that's pretty exciting there too. We get to talk about Rhea Ripley, Shazza McKenzie, Deltag, being her, like, it's, I believe, the second match now with two women faced for the heavyweight championship, and a lot more to come from that. So really excited for that. I do have another interview hopefully coming out soon. I also have as well, if I don't have it up yet, hopefully by the time this goes up, you'll see it on my channel. We do have the predictions for Battleground with Cat from A Cat We Trust. And then we also have, hopefully in a couple of days later, you'll see the post show for Battleground with DC Hendricks from the Monday Night Besties. So we have that going out on my YouTube channel coming up as well. But I want to thank everybody for watching. We know we miss doing this, so we're gonna figure out how we're gonna do it more often, because Melba's a little bit busy on Fridays now. She's a busy bee now, so we do have to figure out a new schedule for us. So hopefully we can get that going soon, so we can keep doing the show. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, let us know what else you want to see from us, what else you want us to discuss if we haven't done it yet, and click on that bell to be notified when we upload or go live next time. But thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.